Hello friends, very good morning to all of you. So today we are going to discuss about OpenToken. So in Pinkford, you might heard of OpenToken adapter. So we'll try to understand how OpenToken works, in what scenarios we can use that. I'll just share one integration guide also, so you can use that to configure at the application end as well as at the Pinkford rate. So it can help you at both the ways how you can configure that OpenToken and how it works. And yeah, so on that we can discuss. So let's begin. Uh, okay, so let's discuss on open token. So let me give you some use case where you can use this open token, and then I'll show you the guide information how you can implement that in Ping Federate, because implementation again is not very big thing, I'll say, because you have some steps you need to know how to troubleshoot, because maybe you will not able to succeed get success in the first step only. That means like I have given you some kind of steps, some kind of documentation. Using that, when you implement that in Ping Federate, or maybe at the application side you see some problems, so that's why the troubleshooting will come. So before this implementation step and troubleshooting, we need to know the use case why we are using, and how we can just yeah, using open token, how we can just fulfill that use case what we are going to talk. And troubleshooting, anyway you need to know it, right? Without troubleshooting, it's definitely like if I can give you any kind of steps, it will not going to work for you, but you'll get a very good idea to work on that. Okay, so let's say that you have an IIS web server. Okay, you have IIS web server. Okay, and under that you have some application running. Under that. So you have IIS web server, and then you have some application, let's say any application a using kind of any like legacy type of application, like maybe using some any like technology, maybe it's ASP.NET Classic, or maybe Java, or any type of like technology it's used. It's a kind of legacy. Okay, and it's running in the IIS web server. Now this app also wants that the users who access the app can get a single sign on. So right now you see that maybe the application have kind of inbuilt authentication page where it's giving ID password and just validating from their own database, right? DB. So these users are not getting like single sign on. Whatever the users are accessing the app, they are not getting single sign on. They are just getting a login page, user enter the ID password, and they get the complete authentication. So this is just kind of legacy application with the legacy authentication form. Now you are getting a request that hey, this application you need to integrate with Ping Federate, so that the users who access this app can get a single sign-on with the multi-factor and the modern IAM things, like with the control of the user identity, access management, everything. Right? So how you can do this? So now Open Token is a kind of agent-based kind of communication, right? It's an agent-based single sign-on, and it helps to fulfill this type of requirement. So this type of problem you see, now the solution is what PingFed is giving you. PingFed is saying, okay, leave that OAuth, OpenID Connect, SAML, whatever the standard protocol, just leave all those things, and then directly jump on the Open Token method. Okay, which helps to fulfill this application. Just integrate this app with Ping Federate, and the users who access the app get a single sign-on. Now, how Open Token is incorporated in this application, let's try to understand that part, and then I'll show you, jump to the documentation. Okay, so let's say, let me erase this. Okay, let's say you have an app. Okay, you have IIS web server and you have an app. Okay, now let's try to understand. In the Ping Federate, you have Ping Fed, basically like as we know, right? It supports SAML, OAuth, OpenID, as we have seen in like previous examples also. It supports all standard protocols and the framework. Now how to handle this, that's what we are going to discuss OpenToken part. So how OpenToken is going to help to fulfill this app. So in this case what happens that, let's say ping federate is having the capability to act as a both means identity provider as well as service provider. And I think you know, right, what is IDP and SP. I think we already covered. So now let's say you have a ping federate which is acting as a service provider and identity provider. So whatever example we have seen in the past, this is all where ping federate is acting as an identity provider. That means a user accessing ServiceNow application, ServiceNow acting there as a service provider and sending that request to ping federate IDP, which handles the authentication, generates the SAML token and send back to the ServiceNow, and then user can able to access ServiceNow. But in this case, we see how ping federate can act as a both, because ping federate have the capability to act as a service provider and at the same time act as an identity provider also. That we can see how it will work and what is the flow communication works between SP and IDP. Now, this app, right? This app is under IIS. So what PingFed is saying, PingFed is saying, okay, like PingFed is just giving you an integration kit of IIS for this OpenToken and saying that, hey, application team, please install this kit on your application server. So the first thing is like application will install that integration kit, okay, the PFIS integration kit. That kit have some executable file, right, which you need to install. Just run and it will install. Once it is installed, then under that we have some files, PFIS API conf and some other. I'll show you. Few files are there where you need to update the ping federate URLs, ping federate SP URLs. So first thing, you installing that kit, right, and then you have some files where you are updating the ping federate URLs. I'll just show you all those things. Okay, but that's what you are doing. Once that is done, what happen here, when a user trying to access that app, as per this configuration, what app will do, app will simply redirect a user to the ping federate SP. Now ping federate SP have connection here. So basically ping federate SP and ping federate IDP is communicating here via SAML. Okay, this is happening through SAML. So now the application redirected request to pingfed SP. Now pingfed SP, what pingfed SP is doing, pingfed SP have the configuration. That means like a simple connection, right? IDP connection where you have the entity ID, consumer URL, certificates, everything, right? And the adapter. So in the pingfed SP, you need to define the OpenToken SP adapter that you have created. So you have a complete connection with the OpenToken SP adapter, which have the agent file that you need to share with the application team also, so they can keep at some location which is defined. Okay. So you have the connection here where you have the entity ID, attribute details, right? And how you're going to get the attributes, all those information is configured here. Now in pingfed SP, your endpoint URL is nothing but a pingfed IDP URL, because you need to send a SAML request to pingfed IDP only. So the entity ID should be same. Whatever the entity ID you're having here, it should be same at the pingfed IDP also. And also the certificate you are using for signing, it should be same at the IDP end. That you need to ensure that. Okay. So now this request has been sent to IDP. That means that pingfed SP is sending the request to the SAML IDP endpoint with the same entity ID. So pingfed SAML IDP will understand that request, and then IDP will just do whatever it's doing, the normal thing, right? It just authenticate the user by giving the ID and password. Okay. And then like it will generate the assertion, SAML assertion, and send back to the pingfed SP only. Now pingfed SP will receive that SAML token, and just what pingfed SP will do, it will first receive the assertion, whatever that username, email address, first name, last name, whatever, right? And then using that OpenToken adapter, it will just encrypt that and then make a OpenToken form. Okay. First encrypted that with the help of OpenToken adapter, pingfed SP just converted that into the OpenToken. Now this OpenToken has been sent to the application. Okay. Now this OpenToken is a kind of opaque number, a large kind of opaque string. Now what application will do, the application has installed the integration kit, right? So that kit have the capability, there is an agent there, agent toolkit, which basically helps to decrypt this open token and then make that attribute as a readable form for application. So once the application can read the user, their developer can simply just write a code, right? Just to validate those information. That means I received some username like that. So application have their own like user profile base where it just like user information is there in their own database. So it will just do the validation. Okay, this is matching or not, and based on that, it will just allow the user to access the app. Okay, so there are two things here is going, right? So one, you need to do some configuration at the application, and one at the ping fed rate. At ping fed rate, you just need to ensure few things. I'll show you in the documentation, which is important. Rather, the things are maybe simple, as you already know. And at the application, the thing is like you need to install that that executable file, and then you need to make some changes on some file, through which only the request is initiating to pingfed SP, and then the flow, as I told, right? It's going to IDP via SAML, and then pingfed IDP will send the response back to the pingfed SP, and then pingfed SP using the help of OpenToken adapter creating that open token, and then sending back that open token to the application, right? And then application will just decrypt that using the agent toolkit, and then make that attribute as a readable form, so that the user can, then the app can just authorize the user and allow the user to access the app. Okay, so this is the kind of flow. Now to implement this, what you need to do, like first you need to just download that integration kit, as I told you, because that integration kit only, so that integration kit only help you to basically just you need to, by that agent kit only, you can just able to initiate that request to ping, and then decrypt that open token and just do that whatever I discussed, like decrypt and just make the user attribute in readable form. Okay, so first you need to come to this ping federate download, just search ping federate downloads and come on add-ons, and then you can see the ping federate IS integration kit for IS 7, 8, 10 like that. So you just install that, and then you can see some executable form. I'll show you. So you need to just share this with the application team and help them with some documentation, so they can install this information at their end, and then they can go for the next actions. And at the same time, you also need to perform something at pingfed, as I shown you, that IDP SP and the adapter part. Three things. Okay. Now let's jump to the document. I'll show you. So this is already in my repository. I'll just share this link. So yeah, you can just go through this example, this information, as I mentioned, it will just really help you. There are some documentation also, the link, you can just check those. But yeah, coming to the most important thing, like, yeah, so add ping federate first, because you just share that integration kit with ping federate, so they can just set up at their end. I'll just show you at the last what they need to do. At ping federate, you just need to do only three things. First thing, setting up the adapter. I'll not say three, it's basically four things. First thing is the setting up the SP adapter. Okay, that is one thing. OpenToken SP adapter. Second thing, creating a IDP connection where pingfed acting as a service provider. Third thing, creating SP connection where pingfed acting as an identity provider. Fourth step is just adding the application URL in the target URL mapping. I'll show you. So basically, like, user will simply access the URL like abc.something.com. So now that is redirecting to pingfed SP, and then pingfed SP is talking to pingfed IDP via SAML, then pingfed SP finally generating an open token and sending back to the application, that is abc.something.com. And then it's just application is decrypting with the help of agent toolkit, and then making that attribute as in a readable form to the application team. Okay, so now just see that. So basically, you just need to create an open token adapter. So you can see that in the drop down, you can get an option for the open token. So just put some name, create that. Then you just need to put the token lifetime, session lifetime. That's the basic thing, right? So session code, session cookie, secure cookie, right? So just enable those options. But yeah, these are just the general options. Session lifetime, you can just get an idea. Okay. Then just give a password, which is basically going to help in the generation of the encryption key. Confirm the password. Transport mode, you can put as a cookie or form post or the query parameter. Then the cipher suit like that. Just put the standard value only, don't make the changes there, and then you will get an agent file here. You can see the download option, right? So you can able to get a agent.txt file from ping federate that you need to share with the application team, and then application team has to update. I'll show you where they need to update. Okay, and then like extend contract subject, just put that, right? add the application URL in the target URL mapping. Okay, so when I say target URL mapping is nothing but a, you can see here, right? So basically, like when you are creating the OpenToken SP adapter, there you can see you will get an option of target URL mapping. So there you need to define the application URL that I told you, abc dot something something dot, add the application URL in the target URL mapping. So these two things you need to do first. SP adapter you have created using the OpenToken type of OpenToken, just fulfill the standard values, token lifetime, the secure cookie and all. Then just put the password for the encryption part, and then just yeah, choose the method of that yeah, where is that, yeah, the transport mode, and then the cipher suit. So those all things you define, and then once you save your you can download the agent file from there and share with the application team, and then add the application URL in the target URL mapping. These two things, when it is completed, then you just need to jump to IDP connection. That means where PingFed is acting as a service provider. So there you just need to build a connection, right, as you are doing for the other. Like it's just a basic thing. You just need to define the adapter attribute, adapter contract fulfillment, and just define the endpoint. So endpoint, you can see here, as I told you, right? So endpoint here is nothing but a PingFed IDP. That's why you need to define URL is a IDP slash /sso.saml2, and in the in the base URL you can define the entity ID, whatever the entity ID, or you have whatever the base URL you have, like something, you know, right? So that's basically the IDP endpoint, right? So you have something like with the slash IDP SSO, you have the base URL with the slash IDP /sso.saml2. So whatever the final URL will be, you can just define directly in the SSO service URL, or you can define in this way also, defining the endpoint and defining the base URL, so that PingFed SP can send a request to PingFed IDP. Okay, this is for /sso.saml2. You have the post and direct, and then you have the attribute contract like that, and then you need to define here the adapter also, right? Because here you're creating the IDP connection. So define the SP adapter, and then define all those things. Define the certificate through which you are going to sign. Adapter, you can define whatever the SP adapter you created, OpenToken SP adapter. Okay, and then yeah, and the important thing is like how you are going to get the attribute here, right? So that is important here. Adapter data store. So what you need to, what you are defining here, use only the attributes available in the SSO assertion. So that means like whatever PingFed IDP identity provider is going to send me in the assertion, I'm going to use that only to fulfill my contract fulfillment. Because on this basis of contract fulfillment only, I'll just create an OpenToken, and that I need to going to set with the application team. Okay, so just define use only the attribute. That means as I told you, right, PingFed IDP will send some value in the session. It will consume and just use this to fulfill their contract fulfillment. That means you can see the subject value here in the PingFed SP, right? PingFed service provider is source is assertion and value is SAML subject. So the SAML subject value is from where we are getting, from the IDP side. Okay, and this is the source is assertion. So the subject value will be nothing but a SAML subject, what PingFed IDP is sending to me. So based on that, I can just simply configure my attribute contract fulfillment in the PingFed service provider. That is third thing you need to do. So make sure that you just putting the endpoints correctly, certificate part, and this attribute part. Only these three things you need to keep in mind while building the PingFed service provider connection. Once it is configured, then you can go for the last step, that is creating a SP connection where PingFed is acting as an identity provider. So here again, whenever you are starting creating, just make the same entity ID, because using the same entity ID you are getting a request. So make the entity ID should be same from in the SP and IDP side. Otherwise your request will break there only. So make the entity ID should be same, certificate should be correct, and the attribute mapping should be correct. So now simply you just need to use the same and entity ID, configure the connection, endpoint again map the correctly. It should be URL as a spacs.saml2. That means I need to send the request to the spacs.saml2, because to the service provider I need to send, right? And then you can define the SLO and all, and then just attribute contract fulfillment you can define like whatever the attribute, like username, first name, email address, whatever, and just fulfill those contract fulfillment and send in the assertion, so that PingFed SP can use those assertion to fulfill the contract fulfillment and then generate an OpenToken, right? So yeah, so before moving to configuration at IISN, let's just recall whatever we did in the PingFed. So let me go to the diagram. Yeah, 1 second, let me reform. Yeah, what you can do at PingFed, what you are doing, first thing, like where PingFed is acting as SP, I'm talking, okay. So there, what you are doing, you are creating an OT adapter, Open Token Adapter first, and the adapter is just like the basic name, type you're defining, then defining the transport mode, query, secure cookie, and other things, the basic session lifetime and other standard details, and then just putting the password to create the encryption key, and then you're just get downloading the agent file, agent.txt file that you're going to share with the application team, and then yeah, you just define this, then you are defining the target, just defining the application URL in the target URL mapping. This part you are doing in the OT adapter. Then you're going to start making a connection, okay, that is the IDP connection, basically we can say. So at IDP connection, what you are doing, you're just creating a connection by putting the entity ID, attribute contract, how you are fulfilling the attribute contract, that is basically we are fulfilling from the assertion, getting from the PingFed IDP, defining the certificate, all those things we are doing, and then we are saving the connection. And yeah, the endpoints are very important. So here you need to send the request to whom? To PingFed at IDP. So you need to have the endpoints of PingFed IDP so that you can send the request to PingFed. And the endpoint is nothing but the, you can just get right from the just go and check the base URL with the IDP sso.saml2. So you need to send the request to that part so that PingFed IDP can receive that request. Now once it is done, what you're doing at IDP, again same thing, you're just creating a connection by just putting the same entity ID, whatever you put at the SP side, and then defining the attribute, fulfilling the contract fulfillment here, and using the same certificate what SP has used, and then just defining the same endpoints. Same endpoint means you need to define here the endpoint of SP. That means you have the SP base URL with the /acs.saml2 so that you can send the request. And if PingFed is acting as a both, in the case if PingFed acting as IDP as well as SP in the same environment, then your base URL will be same, right? Only the endpoints are changing. So for IDP it will become /IDP something, whereas for SP it will become /SP/acs.saml2 something. Right? So for IDP /IDP.sso.saml2, for SP/acs.saml2 something like that. So those you need to update so that PingFed IDP can send a request to PingFed SP. So this communication you need to make it like correctly, and you can test like in your own environment also, right? It's not like you need to go for the application. You can simply test this to see whether my IDP has sending the correct information to SP or not, and where the SP is creating the contract fulfillment correctly or not, right? And once you have this creation successful, then you can jump to the IIS. At IIS, what we need to do? Let me show you. So first install and configure the PingFed IIS web agent, right? That's the integration kit I shown you. So first, once they extract the integration kit, dist x64, you can see this information under that, like conf, global, module, setup, and support. These files you can see. So just run this setup.exe, and this you need to follow some setup like screens. Okay. Now, okay. Once this is executable is completed, you can see these steps, like you just need to install like just follow this. I think you'll get an idea. Just a basic thing. Once this is done, once installation completed, you can get the agent config txt file from the SSO team, right? That I shown you. So in the beginning, you can just share that agent txt file to them and copy into the conf directory. So under conf, right? So this is the directory of application now after installing that integration kit. So under conf folder, they can just put it this pfis API conf and agent. This pfis is already present there. You just need to put agent config txt that you receive from the SSO team. You can keep it here. Okay, and this by default it will install in the C program files ping identity corporation OpenToken IIS agent like that. Okay. Now once this is done, update the given agent config file from the SSO team. That is fine. Add the SSO URL, PingFed base, and the secure cookie equal to yes in the pfis API conf. As I told you, right? So in the pfis API conf, you need to update few things so that it can initiate a request to PingFed, right? Now, update pfis API conf file attribute as recommended by ping SSO. So yeah. So basically, you just need to update this part. Just open the pfis API conf and update the PingFed base URL you can get from SSO team. Put secure cookie equal to yes and SSO URL. SSO URL is nothing but that PingFed SP URL so that it can initiate a request to PingFed SP. Okay, PingFed service provider. Okay. Once this is updated, after updating the config files, you need to update the module in IIS. So for that, what you need to do, you just need to go to on the IIS manager. You need to select the IIS server. On the feature view tab, double click modules. Okay, on the module screen, in the action area, you can just click add managed module. Okay, and on the add managed module dialog, you can put the name field, type a name such as OpenToken HTTP module, and then you just enter the following. Like you just need to define this. Basically, you're just adding a module there and defining this value like public key token, this version and all. And then you can just read this, like just use this link to get more information for the OpenToken. And once module has been updated, you can reset the IS and launch the application URLs to see that whether it's initiating a request to ping federate, and then how ping fed handles the thing, then how ping fed is giving you the OpenToken, and how application is decrypting that to authorize the user. So at IS side, if you can see, recall the what we are doing. So first thing, we are just installing the kit and executing the exe file, setup.exe file. Then under conf folder, we are putting agent config.txt that we are receiving from the SSO team. And then under pfis API conf, we are updating few things like SSO URL, pingfed base URL, and putting secure cookie equal to yes. And pingfed base URL is, SSO URL is nothing but a pingfed SP URL, pingfed service provider URL, where pingfed is acting as a service provider. Once that is done, then you are updating the modules for OpenToken HTTP module in the IS server. Once that is done, then you are resetting that and then launching the application URL to test. So these are the steps you need to perform at IS, and the steps what we talk about pingfed, that is. So pingfed is like a not very complex, but at application, sometimes we see that there is a problem at IS because maybe you're not an expert and the application team is also having some issue in just updating this and just working with OpenToken. So again, you need to go for the troubleshooting. You need to check the logs. You need to enable the application log as well as the pingfed logs. But I'll just tell you one thing. At pingfed, it's not very that much complex. So it is a kind of easy task. But at application, things are a little complex. So you need to just ask application team to enable their IS log, so you can just go and troubleshoot those. Okay, so this is a very this is something like a long session for us, but I hope you understand the overview. Just try to implement and see if you are struggling anywhere. Just let me know in the comment section so I can help you. But yeah, just try and just have a good understanding what we just discussed, what you're doing at IS, what you're doing at pingfed, right? And it can work for other also, right? So maybe you heard about other, like pingfed is just giving some custom solution also for OpenToken. But in the pingfed side, you just need to perform in the similar fashion what we are doing right now. But an application, it can vary depending on the server to server like that. So you can just talk to pingfed vendor also for a custom integration kit, right? Through which you can able to install at the application. Okay, so like that. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section so I can help you, and we'll jump to the next section. Yeah, thank you.